and I speed it on its way through this House. Kia ora tātou.
Honourable Nanaia Mahuta.
He honore he kroria he mai ngā rongo ki te mata o te whenua he whakaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Aro haina ngā taina me ngā tuakana I raro I te whakaro kotahi, I raro I te tuanui o tēnei whare, ngai Tuhoe, tēnei te mihi atu ki a koutou katoa ki a tātou pai mariri. Nei anō te mihi mai oha ki a koutou mai I a Waikato Maniapoto, ki a koutou, me era o ngā hononga kei Wainganui I a tāua. Hei tū, kei roto I o rākau ki te pupuru a tātou whenua, ara hei hāpai era o ngā wawato o ngā mātua tūpuna te mana mo tūhake o tātou iwi Māori. Nō reira, tēnei te mihi atu ki a koutou katoa. Mr. Speaker, it gives me great privilege to be able to support the passage of this bill to Select Committee to its final stages. We are in a moment of history that only in hindsight people will be able to recognise the significance of what is being achieved in the Tuhoe settlement. This is an important day for New Zealand, not just Tuhoe. I was reminded of all the great orators that have spoken in this House throughout the years on a number of, testy issues that have tested our aptitude as a nation to really live what it means to be a truly bicultural nation, having greater regard to the aspirations of iwi of Māori in New Zealand and in the formation of our identity as a country. And just as we have great orators, I thought I'd draw on one of the great poems of a poet that is well known to you, because it tells a story that I want to be able to draw on in my contribution. And it goes like this. Had I the heavens embroidered cloths, enwrought with golden and silver light, the blue and the dim and the dark cloths of night and light and the half-light, I would spread the cloths under your feet. But I, being poor, have only my dreams. I've spread my dreams under your feet. Tread softly, because you tread upon my dreams. And this, in a sense, draws upon those spirits of those ancestors of, I believe, Tuhoe and many others like them who had great aspirations to live in a country that they could hold on to, enjoy, preserve, bring up children and say, this is ours. But our checkered history has meant that so much of that hope and aspiration has been impacted on by interactions with the Crown. Mr. Speaker, I hesitate to tell the history of others within the context of treaty settlements, because I know how important it is. But it is for anyone listening to this debate today, a very important part of the treaty settlement process to have the history recorded in a deed of settlement and referred to within the context of legislation. And because we go through this debate referring to how significant these treaty settlements are, and most importantly for Tuhoe today, that those young children that hope to build our nation in a way that makes mana motuhake, the treaty partnership, a living spirit within our national identity, that they draw on the words that come into this House. Mr. Speaker, as I looked at the aspects of the treaty settlement, there are a number of things that I felt compelled to say in a first reading. I too am not proud of Labour's time in government with regards to the police raids. But what it has done is it has necessitated the commitment of both sides of the House to an enduring treaty settlement. So I'm sure that Labour's track record in the future on the Tuhoe settlement will be tested against the hopes and aspirations of the mana motuhake agreement, and also ensuring and committing to long-term enduring aspects with the way in which Te Urewera will be looked after in the future. And I would like to be able to stand as testimony to be able to say this is a working, living relationship that has been forged. So out of some very difficult times, some very positive opportunities. Mr. Speaker, I want to commend the Minister in being able to extend his vision around the way of looking at some very unique features of this particular settlement that is not in any other. Firstly, the way in which Te Urewera has been given or conferred its own identity. That in itself is a significant milestone in the way that we're looking at our lands, our resources, the ability to look after them for future generations. Recognising Te Urewera has its own identity, inherently within that a Māori of its own, and inherently in that the need to look after it for the preservation of its food source and identity for the people growing up and living around Te Urewera is significant. And I would like, through the Select Committee process, to learn a little bit more about that, if for nothing else, but to see how that particular legislative approach can be continued to innovate our way in looking at ongoing resource management, conservation within the context of other areas in the country. I'm excited by this. I'm excited by the opportunity that it provides for the people of Tuhoe to push its expectations in the way in which regulatory functions are carried out, management plans are implemented effectively taking account of tikanga. I'm excited by the fact that it puts a higher regard on the Department of Conservation to really live the strongest principle that it has in the Conservation Act to give effect to the Treaty of Waitangi principles. And this, I predict, will be a pillar of future lawmaking approaches going forward as we continue to review the benefits that treaty settlements have provided. Mr. Speaker, the government, there is also some explanation within the bill and detail around the governance entity and the selection of trustees and how that's going to be approached. And if I could perhaps offer a few comments. You know, this has never been easy for any iwi going into a treaty settlement process, and I don't think anyone is immune to the challenges of having to ask itself, how do we want to reorganise ourselves for the future so that we're going to have a regard for everybody that is entitled to benefit from a settlement, but also have a say through our governance instruments and arrangements. And again, this is not the time to ask questions and seek answers, but at the Select Committee level, there will be a high rate of interest from members, I suspect, in the way in which Tuhoe has approached this significant question. Because if we can ensure that the governance entities are as robust as they can be within the context that they have been designed, then that is going to give the next generation greater hope and opportunity that what is being preserved for the now will continue to be there for tomorrow. The other part of the settlement that excites me, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that it's an affirmation of a history that has not been as well understood by broader New Zealand. Correcting place names is an important part of that. And once we begin to ensure that place names are corrected and references within the context of our history are revealed in ways that become real, that when people passing through that road that Anne Tolley was talking about, that I've probably only been on once, I know it was a long trip too, but what it will reveal to those passing through Te Urewera is that they are in a very special place of the country. And place names do that, rectifying history does that, and recognising just how important the footprint is that Tuhoe have over its relationship with its domain is so significant. Mr. Speaker, again, this is a first reading speech. There is so much more to say about the bill. I hope that the select committee process won't be too taxing for those who have toiled long and hard to get it to this point, over 5 years I'd say. But we will give it the full attention it deserves to ensure that the expectations that have been set out in the deed align to the legislation. That is our job. It's a small part of a bigger wheel that has already been put in train. But can I say we're in a historical moment and for this nation. And Tuhoe being here today to settle their historical grievances will endure, and we need to ensure on both sides of the House that we commit to an enduring relationship. Kia ora koutou.
Materia Ture.
Tēnā koe.